Check. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Testing. Testing. Check mic 2. Three. Check mic 3. Mic 4. 4. Check mic 4. Mic 5. Mic 5. Check mic 6. Wireless. Wireless check. Wireless check. Seven. Check mic 7. Check 7. Check 8. Check mic 9. Check mic 9. Check 10. Check 10. Check 11. Check 11. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Stand check. Stand check.
Coming in to sit too early. My kid's in there getting ready for a presentation.
Board meeting starting in here, so I'll see you. Wireless mic check. Wireless mic check. Check 1 2 3.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Good evening. Welcome. This is the regular session meeting for the Athens School District. We'll start. Salute at the flag. Approval of meeting. Minutes from December 3rd. That shows our reorganization and regular session meeting. If I have a unanimous consent, if anyone. Everyone have a chance to read them, review them. Any questions, changes, concerns? All in favor of approving the minutes from December 3rd, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Meeting minutes approved. Next will be some presentations.
Thank you, Mrs. Minnick. Tonight we have 3 groups with us from the Lynch Buston Elementary. We're going to start tonight with the history group. And it's just one.
That's me. So first of all, I would like to thank everybody for coming tonight to show interest in our student body. My name is Kensley Gabriel, and I am the founder of the 4th grade history club. So the real question is, what is the history club? So the history club is my passion project. I created it in enrichment because it's not every day in 4th grade that we get to learn about history, since it's not a required subject. So the first meeting, I thought it was just going to be my friends to support me and show interest. But there was a lot more people that came, and they all had an interest in history. And that just really proved to me that I was like, there's so much more that we could do with this. Some of the projects that we have been working on are, we have done a coat of arms, and we have done your family, what you would like to be when you grow up, some of your hobbies, and your favorite animal. We have been starting our newest project, which is our historical figure project. All of the students in the history club have picked a historical figure to research and do some work on, and everybody has their own. So some of the work that we have done, starting off with a journal entry from Marie Curie and where she lived. There have been notes taken down, and everybody has showed lots of interest in history club. And to me, that just shows that history club could be something amazing one day, and could be something that really has a lot of people's interest. So we have also been raising money, and some of the trips we would like to go on is to just Sayre Historical Place and learn more about our town history, because in Sayre and Athens we have so much history that nobody really acknowledges. Everybody thinks about like Gettysburg and all those other great places, but we don't really think about how much history is in our hometown. And I think that the history club can show all these students that history is just more than what happened in the past. It's all about what really happened and just being with your friends and learning fun stuff. Thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you, Miss Gabriel. You said with your friends, and I didn't see anybody with you tonight, so. Right? They all didn't look your way. They were all looking back there. I'm kidding. And up next we have the Student Council. Thank you, Mrs. DeMoses. Student Council is next.
Hello everyone, I am Piper Greer and I am the Vice President of Student Council. We are the Student Council officers. We gave speeches and ran for election. We are a group of 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade student leaders who work together to impact our school and community through projects and activities.
I'm Molly Byrne, and I'm secretary. Some of the student council activities we've been doing is raising fundraisers, and we've been doing kids' night outs that got rescheduled to January 17th. And we've also been doing lots of activities in student councils, and we've been having homecoming parades, and that's all.
Hi, I'm Juliet Roy, and I'm student council president. Some of the student council projects that we did was National Kindness Day in November. We put up a tree, and if you were kind, you got a leaf and got to put it on your tree. Another project we did was Rock Your World. We painted rocks, and they're by the drop-off for car riders. Another thing we did was Boograms, which was notes and candy for faculty and staff for Halloween.
Hello, my name is Celia Bennett, and I am the Student Council Treasurer. Some of Student Council's community services are that we are getting shirts for all of the members of Student Council. We have a local organization, which is some donations for the food pantry, animal shelter, children's house, and elderly homes. We are going to do coins for Chris again because he is really sick again. We are also thinking about building a lunch pavilion as a donation for the school. Thank you.
Great job. And it's nice to see you guys doing so many cool things in our school to make school fun, right? That's awesome. So last but not least, we have the Odyssey of the Mind here today. So who's all here for Odyssey of the Mind? Okay, all of them. So you all get back up there. Go ahead.
In Odyssey of the Mind, over the last several months, we have been building our confidence, working on cooperation and teamwork, but most importantly, we're having fun.
Hi, I'm Cecilia Shangra, and our Odyssey of the Mind program here at Athens started 3 years ago when Mrs. Greer took one team of 7 students to competition. Last year we grew to 3 teams, and this year we are taking 7 teams from Lynch and 2 teams from Rowe. That is over 60 students and 10 coaches.
My team this year will be doing a classical problem. We have written a play based off Winnie the Pooh. We are working on props, setting, and costumes.
I'm Lydia Singo, and some of the other team's problems include creating a structure that will hold weight, creating a vehicle that will transport a rider in a race to get a prize, creating a robotic animal in a car, and our primary students are creating a play based on the 7 wonders of the world.
In Odyssey of the Mind, there is a very strict no outside assistance policy. We must come up with the ideas and solutions to our problems ourselves. Parents, teachers, or anyone else besides our own teammates cannot help.
My team this year is working on Problem 5, which is a performance-based problem with focus on astronomy. We are working on a very cool starry background for our set, including lights for the constellations.
We have all been working super hard to prepare for our big regional competition on February 22nd at Pocono Mountain West High School. We will be representing Athens in our OM t-shirts funded by this year's grant money.
Hello, my name is Molly Byrne. Odyssey of the Mind teaches students to use creativity to become problem solvers. We need to use teamwork to solve the problems.
Hello, my name is Silas Wayman, and this is my first year in Odyssey. This year, our 4th grade team needs to build and design an animal that does tricks and makes people happy.
Hello, my name is Ava Rose. This is my 2nd year in Odyssey. We plan to solve our problem by making Rube Goldberg machines to complete the animal's tasks. We invite you to come watch a practice in a few weeks.
We would like to express our sincere appreciation for all your support for our clubs and activities. Many of our administrators are helping out at the regional competition as judges. Thank you all. We will be sure to represent Athens in the Wildcat way.
I thank you all very much. And before we let you go home, because you have school tomorrow, right? I think we owe a great thank you to all of those people sitting right behind you. We have lots of teachers and coaches and advisors who work hours after school, giving up a lot of their own free time to make sure that we have the best Odyssey of the Mind, Student Council, and History Club that we possibly can have. So let's give our advisors and teachers a big round of applause. Thank you. And I'll be right here at 8 o'clock to make sure you're on time for school. So you guys can all head out. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, just want to give them a minute to clear out. So next on the agenda will be committee reports. The first one is finance and operations.
Okay, I only have one thing to report on. Kyle gave an update, or I guess Craig did. We're going to need a new pit for the high jump area on the track. They've got 3 quotes already. It's going to be about $8,500. Kyle also reported that the water main break at Row was fixed. So that's all we have.
How much was the water main break, the total cost at the end?
So we're gathering all the costs currently. I know some excavation was about $6 grand, and then we're just collecting invoices now. So we'll have a more accurate total in February for you.
Thank you.
Yep. Oh, one thing I do want to note is, rather than a patch job, we did a full repair, which probably was a little bit more, but is a much more permanent fix.
Thank you. Next up, personnel and policy. Ms. Smart.
So we had a pretty detailed discussion tonight about a number of topics. There are a number of policies on the docket this evening. 3 of them right now are marked second read. Those were from the last meeting. There were additional changes that we discussed at the last meeting. Those have been made. So we recommend those policies move forward with those edits. There were also a number of first read policies that we went through this evening. We would recommend that all of these, apart from one, are actually moved to second read this evening. Most of them are business as usual. We don't really have any edits or changes to them. One small edit and one policy that we would ask to move forward tonight, it was policy, it's listed as F on the agenda tonight. It's payroll authorization. We just wanted to update the language a little bit to make sure that it's broader. We just want to update the language so that any changes can be made by the superintendent or their designee. It makes the language and the policy a little bit broader. Otherwise, it doesn't change any of the heart or meaning of the language of the policy. That's policy 614 on payroll authorization. The one policy that we are recommending that we keep as a first read tonight, just because we had a really good discussion as a team about the policy, but we really want some further clarification, want more time to make sure we understood it, was policy 618, which is around student activity funds. We just want to make sure that we fully understand how the funds are monitored, audited, how the rules are, regulated and enforced around those funds, just to make sure that we're really clear on that before we approved it for the sort of final pass. So saying we don't have any changes to it this evening, but we would like that sort of further clarification so that if the rest of the board has any other questions, we do that. All the other policies we are recommending are voted on tonight and closed out on. Anything I missed, team?
No, that was pretty much, that summed up the time that we had.
I will make sure to report back on policy 618 to give you guys more clarification on how student activity funds are monitored, audited, and enforced.
Okay. Oh, there was one other discussion that we did have just for, no, and I apologize because I can't remember the policy number, but it's just around, it's policy, Mr. Gabriel, that you shared, just around early graduation.
Yeah.
Policy 217, thank you. We have discovered that there may be some difference or discrepancy between the summary of the policy and the policy itself. We just want to make sure that that's cleaned up, clarified, and looked at. So we would like to add that one to the next meeting as well. And we can, happy to answer any questions, or we can talk more about that discussion. But just want to make sure that, again, the information that we're sharing out when we summarize information for parents really does match our policy, and that we're really clear on that.
Got it. I will make sure I have
Can
that.
you share that with us, Craig, so we have a copy of it?
Yep, I'll gladly do that. Yep, for sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
I want you to share that plus the checklist that goes home with the parents.
Absolutely.
Share both.
Not a problem.
Thank
I
you.
will share the policy. We'll also share up any changes or clarifications, and also the protocols and checklists that go forward.
Perfect.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
It was a good call by Mr. Gabriel.
Okay, extracurricular activities. Or, I'm sorry, curriculum, instruction, and technology did not meet this evening. So we'll move on to extracurricular activities.
And we didn't meet either.
Okay, so next on would be superintendent's report, Dr. Stage.
Thank you, Mrs. Minnick, and I will keep this very, very brief. First of all, it's always great when we get to be in a building and see our students just give us absolutely wonderful information. It's just incredible to hear them speak. They will be taking over my job soon, I promise you. Secondly, and finally, January is often recognized as the Board Appreciation Month, and tonight is no exception. So here are my words for the board. Our jobs are always difficult, challenging, and at volunteer status. You make no pay, you earn no rewards for the job you do. However, you are enshrined with the responsibility to keep a budget, hire personnel, and maintain policies. And this board does it with fidelity and consistency, and with respect of each other. I kindly thank you all for serving our district, for serving our community, for making our district great, and providing opportunities for our students to be successful and have the opportunities that other school districts do not provide. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Stage. Next, Northern Tier Career Center, Mrs. Cooper.
I do not have anything to report. I reported out last month, our December, and our January will be this Thursday.
Okay, thank you. PSBA, Mrs. Smart.
The only update I had, we all received a notification today, I think it was, and it's actually related to a policy that we have around Title IX. There have been some of the rules of Title IX were, were impacted by a ruling in Kentucky. So PSBA are looking at what that means for our policy, like for their recommended policies and what that looks like. So I am sure that we will get more information on that, and we'll just, continue to sort of keep our eyes and ears open to make sure that we're following the rules.
Okay, thank you. Next would be Solicitor's Report, Mr. Barrett.
Thank you. I have two items tonight. One, on 11/26 last year, we had a grievance filed by the support staff regarding a denial of an internal transfer, which has worked its way up the chain and has now come to the board. We did advise you about it before. This is the second time it's come before us. The recommendation of the administration and me is that you deny this grievance at this level. And I would like you to handle that in a motion if that's your pleasure.
Does the board need a deeper explanation of the grievance, or are we okay to take a vote on the motion?
Well, I apologize for being somewhat vague, but that's our policy to keep personnel items in private. I know we discussed this before in private. You probably forgot about it over the holidays or aren't refreshed with it.
I would appreciate just a brief executive session, just to make sure that I'm refreshed before we have a vote.
No, if we're going to take action, we have to do it tonight, so we'd have to take an executive session right now.
Okay, so we'll take a quick executive session in the library, and we'll be back. Okay, back from executive session, so I need,
I'll make a motion to deny the grievance that Mr. Barrett just discussed.
I need a second.
Second.
Christine, when you're ready.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
Mr. Cheresnowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick?
Yes.
And Mr. Rude?
Yes.
Thank you. A second matter that I have, I've been able to secure an appraiser for the Lowe's assessment appeal. And I think I have agreements I know I have agreement from the township, and I think I have it from the county to proceed accordingly and utilize this person in the event we have to have litigation, which has already been filed. In the past, these have been settled, but the spread this time is just too great. We can't give it in. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next portion of the meeting is visitors' comments on board action items only. Are there any visitor comments at this time? All right, we'll move on to the next section, which is financial business. Can I have a motion and a second to bring financial business to the table?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Under this, we have the listing of bills. We have general fund checks, cafeteria bills, earned income tax reports from November 24, December of 24, a calendar review from Berkheimer. We have the secretary treasurer report for October and November, the Athens Area High School student activity report from November, and the Harlan Row Middle School activity account from November. Does anyone have any questions or comments, concerns on any of these items? All right, we'll put them to a vote. So we are voting on section 8A through J. Christine, when you're ready.
Mr. Cheresnowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick?
Yes.
Mr. Rude?
Yes.
And Mrs. Smart?
Yes.
Okay, next will be personnel items. Can I have a motion and a second to bring personnel items to the table?
So moved.
Second.
All right, so everyone had a chance to review the personnel list. Dr. Sage, is there anything you'd like to report out on this?
Just two things. Number one, you'll see a list. We have 7 professional staff who have submitted their retirement at this time. We have 1 support staff retirement, and we have 1 non-bargaining retirement. Those are all effective at the end of the school year or with an effective date named in there. The other thing that we'll make note of is F, an Act 93 position elimination. And you'll see farther on when we talk about contracts and agreements, we're looking to eliminate the supervisor of athletics and youth programs and move to a contracted service. So we have to take action on eliminating a position so that we can move forward with the next part of that.
Does anyone have any questions or comments on the personnel items? I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
The role instructor, is that in addition to one that we already have? What's another one?
Nope. We have a half-year need because we have a professional staff member who will be unavailable for the second half of the year. So this is not an addition. This is just as a supplement to an absence.
Okay.
Thank you for that. I should have explained it.
What we originally will pay for the year, like that's just coming off of one and going to another?
Yes, Cindy. So what we would originally pay for a full year is $6,000, so the half is still.
Oh, okay. So there's still only going to be one person?
Yep.
Okay.
It's not any additions. No.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. All right. Any other questions? Christine, when you're ready, we're voting on 9A.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick?
Yes.
Mr. Rude?
Yes.
Mrs. Smart?
Yes.
And Mr. Chersnowski?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to contracts and agreements. Can I have a motion and a second to bring this to the table?
So moved.
Second.
All right, so we have the Blast IU IDEA Pass-Through Funds Agreement. We have the Energy Cap Subscription Agreement. It's a 3-year agreement. Letter C is the Wilds Valley Weather Summary, LL Summary. Letter D is the request for proposal for a temporary occupational service position. And letter E is the request for a proposal for an athletic supervisor position. Are there any questions, concerns, or comments on any of these items?
I have a question, and maybe I just misread it, but for item C, the Wilds Valley Weather Service.
Yep.
There's 3 different options, 3 packages, but it wasn't clear which one, if we were voting on taking on the service and which package we'd be looking for. It just looks like a proposal, a generic proposal to me, rather than
Yeah.
this is our specific contract that we're voting on.
Yep, this is a standard basic package, I think, that he delivers out, and my recommendation, if you guys chose to vote on it, would be to do the middle package.
Which would be just for November to March or something like that?
November to April.
November to April.
Which would probably be our greatest need time. If you choose to.
Do you think that
vote.
with baseball season and all that you should, and track?
Well, I think, I think, it's up to you guys. I think getting through the end of April will be pretty good,
Okay.
but,
So we're going to pay someone to tell us what the weather's going to be.
well, if you vote yes, then yes.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on it, Craig? Is this something that you would like to use in your admin staff?
I don't know. I've tried to get some feedback from other districts who do use this service. I think the greater decision-making comes down to the conversations we have with the road supervisors, because while we might have accurate weather prediction, I think the bigger decision-maker is, can our townships and municipalities prepare the roads for safe travel? So
no matter what we know, I guess the bigger one is like predicting the storm ahead of time.
yeah, and that could
Maybe
be
if we're closing early or not.
And that could be a benefit, closing ahead of time, because, that's always the debate. If you close the night before and you wake up to sunny skies,
Monday morning quarterback.
December 9th, 2014.
I mean,
May not forget
the
that.
weather's a 50-50, like it's gonna, you can't really.
But I agree with Craig, it depends on how the roads are.
That one's
Depends on how the roads are and
Correct.
if they're kept up.
Correct.
Okay. That helps, Craig, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Any other questions?
So is it something you want, Craig, or no? I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. Is this something that you want?
I brought this service as I think other districts have discussed it, mixed reviews. I could live with it. I couldn't live with it. I can't give you a strong yes or no, to be honest with you. I'll use it if I have it. If not, I'm still up at 4 a.m. making all the phone calls.
Well, you'd make the phone calls anyway, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to save $1,000? Say no.
Anyone else? Questions?
Should we
Why
vote
don't
on
we
it
hold
separate?
that? Why don't we hold that separately?
Pull it separate?
Especially since there's also 3 options with it too.
Yeah.
So
So we'll vote on 10C. We're going to pull that one for a separate vote. Is everybody okay voting on 10A, B, D, and E?
Okay.
All right, so Christine, that's what we're going to vote on, A, B, D, and E.
Okay, Mr. Frisbee?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
yes.
Mrs. Minnick?
Yes.
Mr. Rude?
Yes.
Mrs. Smart?
Yes.
Mr. Chersnowski?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
All right, now we will vote on 10C.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
No.
Mrs. Minnick,
No.
Mr. Rude,
No.
Mrs. Smart,
No.
Mr. Cheresnowski,
No.
Mrs. Cooper,
No.
and Mr. Frisbee.
Yes.
All right, I'll now move on to section 11, that's policies. I think Mrs. Smart gave a pretty detailed synopsis of policies when she went over them for the committee report. Can I have a motion to bring these to the table to discuss?
So moved.
Second.
All right, so there's policies, you have them listed there. The principles on governance and leadership, field trips, budget adoption, purchases not budgeted, cooperative purchasing, payroll authorization, payroll deductions, payment of bills, petty cash, student activity funds, and district audit. We were
And all were,
all were being moved, all except
which one?
614 is being moved to second read.
No. 618.
Oh, 618, the student activity funds.
That's the first read.
So
14 has
letter
updated
J is
language.
going to stay first read. Everything else will be second read.
There was additions to 214 that you didn't see though.
It's just updated language on 614. Just
On
wanted some updates.
614 is going to be moved because it's just some updated language. Yeah.
And Christine will provide you with that, just so you have those changes, but it's very minimal updates, just to make it more expansive on the superintendent and the designee.
Anybody have questions? Comments? Okay, Christine, when you're ready.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
Mr. Cheresnowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
and Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Okay. Next up, curriculum and instruction. Can I have a motion and a second to bring that to the table?
So moved.
Second.
All right, so we have the Pennsylvania Farm Show overnight trip request, History Club proposal for 2026, high school new course proposal for the school year 25-26. Any questions or comments or concerns regarding any of those three items?
If I could speak briefly on the new course proposals, I do want to re-emphasize that these are skill builders. They do not require any additional staff or any additional programming. Cooking 3 allows our family and consumer science teacher to develop a higher level of cooking skills and cooking techniques. Requires no additional work or textbooks or anything like that. So it's all taken care of. The supervised agricultural experience independent study, this is really important for those kids that are trying to get their CTE and their SAE accomplishments through the FFA advisorship. And this is an independent study, so this does not take up any additional class time. So I just want to point that out. So.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question just to make sure I know what we're voting on for the History Club proposal.
Yep.
Are we are we voting on the location? Are we voting on the fact that they would like to travel during the school year? You know, like the timing? I'm just like, it's not super clear, like which pieces of this we're voting on, or because it sounds like the itinerary is a proposal, but there may be more changes to it later on.
So I certainly can ask Mrs. Cheresnowski for more information. However, I do believe that you are looking at a tentative date of departure of March 29th with a return on April 9th. The tour would be Berlin, Prague, Krakow, and Budapest, which you guys all have in front of you. Now, the reason why it's tentative is, obviously there are times where the EF tours who we go through may have to make a shift in the date by a day or two. So I think sometimes that's it. And then also looking at our calendar for next year.
Is
So
that over the Easter break? Is that when Easter falls
Yeah,
next year?
I think the History Club tends to use the longer break through Easter to minimize the number of days out of the classroom.
So we're approving the timing and the location.
Correct.
Okay.
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
How many days of school will they miss?
Oh, jeepers.
We haven't done the board yet. We haven't done the
4 or
calendar.
5.
Four.
We haven't approved next year's calendar.
Right.
So it could be between 4 and 6 days.
4 to 6, right.
That is Easter. I mean, just looking.
So, all right.
You guys will have the 25-26 calendar next month. We're working through it, actually starting today.
I just had another, this is just more of a question, and this is like more on the itinerary. Is this being done by bus, train, or multiple plane stops? Because these cities are very far apart. It's a really interesting itinerary based on locations.
Looks like one flight.
One flight and then buses, or?
So here's what I know, just in my limited knowledge of learning about EF tours. So I think it's going to be a flight into Berlin, and then it is going to be basically buses until they get to Budapest, where they will fly home.
Okay.
I do think most of these are bus
Bus tours?
yeah.
Okay. I wasn't like clear on that just with this.
Yeah, and I'm only speaking off of the fact that I have to go because no administrator else will go to Spain, and I know that the itinerary is busing once we fly
And
in.
it's EF that we are using for that trip as well?
Yeah, EF tours is the same thing.
Thank you.
Like David won't go. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, David.
Do we know approximate cost?
I don't know if that was submitted. And shoot, Kevin.
And it's fun, these trips are self-funded by the children through fundraising and things like that, correct?
Yeah, correct. I do not know. I do not currently have an approximate cost. I think the current cost is around $4,000, $3,500 to $4,000. And the reason why we approve it so far ahead is that there's a concerted fundraising effort.
A lot of bus time.
I'm getting really good at listening to books on audio. New year, new me.
And one more question, this is not on this one, it says on the FFA, this is retroactive, correct?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
yes, this one's retroactive. They already were there. I visited with them. They were at the PA. So our FFA got to volunteer at the PA Maple Shack. And I was there watching the Steinfeldts and others make maple cotton candy and serve maple products and all sorts of things. So they worked there throughout. And just so you know, the PA Maple Syrup Association paid for the majority of that for them. I think we paid for the transportation.
This trip, the History Club trip, is that in conjunction with Waverly again, or is it just Athens?
I can't confirm that, but I don't want to make an assumption, but possibly. I think that does anybody else know out there? Because I don't know for certain. However, I do know like you get a reduced rate the more students you could take. Now, I will tell you, I do know like for the most part, Athens travels to the airport together. They'll be grouped mostly together in their chaperone groups. I got my chaperone group. They're all Athens students. And while the tours might be going on at the same time, we might depart together. I don't know if we're not like every chaperone group is totally mixed in.
And I apologize, I have one more question, this is just.
Yeah,
for my
absolutely,
ignorance.
absolutely.
Like, there's not a cap on the number of children that can go.
No.
This is, if they're a member of History Club and they fundraise and they, can,
No.
so it's not like, well, we get a bus full and now like we can't have any more, they accommodate.
No, it's not
however
like
many.
the first 40 can go.
Okay, great.
it's however many that express interest and can raise the funds.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
How many are going to Spain, do you know?
60? 60 total, yeah.
16? 1, 6?
Oh, no, hold on. I actually might be able to answer this question. So if you just give me a second.
I know my son's going, but I have no idea how the numbers. No, I think
Maybe that was the addition.
32, 4, 30, so I count 36 from Athens.
Okay.
So 36 from Athens. That was just quick count. I made plus or minus 1.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, any other questions, comments, concerns on the curriculum instruction items? We'll be voting on 12A, B, and C. All right, Christine, when you're ready.
Mrs. Minnick?
Yes.
Mr. Rude?
Yes.
Mrs. Smart?
Yes.
Mr. Charles-Nowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
And Mr. Jones?
Yes.
All right, next would be transportation items. Can I have a motion and a second to bring this to the table?
So moved.
Second.
So we have a bus upgrade for Leonard's Busing, and we have an additional driver memo. So the bus upgrade, he's getting a new bus.
Yeah, I believe the bus currently is a 2011, and he's upgrading to a 2019.
Any member have any questions, comments, concerns? Okay, we'll be voting on items 13A and B. Christine?
Mr. Rude?
Yes.
Mrs. Smart?
Yes.
Mr. Charles-Nowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
And Mrs. Minnick?
Yes. Nothing under buildings and grounds. Any other business? Does anyone have any other business to bring up?
I have one small item. SRU Elementary prepared a video for the board as a thank you for Board Appreciation Month. I think Clint is going to try to put it up here for you guys.
Board members, we just wanted to take a minute to say thank you for all that you do. Thank you for volunteering your time to make our school such an amazing place to be every day. Here are just a few of the reasons why we love SRU.
What I love about SRU is that our school is so amazing and it's a fun place. I love SRU because the teachers and friends. What I love about SRU is that it's a fun place and I like to play on the playground. So what I like about SRU, all the students here are kind, all the teachers here are kind. It's a nice place. Everybody here is super nice and I like it. My favorite thing is playing with my friends. Something that I like about SRU is that I like how everybody is nice and kind.
What I love about SRU is that everyone treats each other like family, and there's so much fun stuff to do.
My favorite thing about SRU is that.
My favorite thing about SRU is the family meetings.
What I love about SRU is that every day we get to have fun activities. The thing I love about SRU is that the students all get recognized.
Thank you for volunteering your time to make the school better.
Thank you for giving us the tools and equipment we need to be successful. Thank you for letting us go on so many field trips.
Thank you for giving us great teachers and admin. Thank you for giving us opportunities for learning.
Thank you for budgeting money for our school district.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Owen.
Thank you, Mrs. Cooper.
Thank you, Mrs. Vivitt.
Thank you, Ms. Smart.
Thank you, Mr. Rood. Thank you, Mr. Flee. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you!
Thank Mrs. Stevens for us. Okay, if there's no other business, we'll move on to 16, which is the visitor comments. Any visitor comments on any? Okay. Yeah, I have to, the microphone. Let me read my little spiel here.
Singing, huh?
Please give your name.
Bon Jovi. That's
the- Please give your name, the borough or township where you live, the organization which you represent, and the subject matter. It is requested that comments be kept to 3 minutes. Comments relative to private student or employee matters should be directed to the superintendent outside of the meeting. Thank you.
Heather Westbrook, Oak Hill Drive in Sayre, Athens Township. Did you set my timer yet? All right. I'm just kidding. No, I just want to say I'm a teacher here, and I just want to thank our custodian staff because we've been shorthanded the entire year. We hired somebody over winter break, so we got our full staff for our night custodians, but unfortunately one of ours is going to be out for a while, so we've had teachers do extra stuff. I know our support staff, I think Lori came over from Rowe, and we've had Renee all come over and help clean. So I know I appreciate it, and it's a lot of work. And I challenge my students too to see if they can pick up every single speck of garbage on the carpet. I know it goes, I think unnoticed a lot, but we really appreciate what our custodians are doing. And just with that being said, I kind of would like to think outside the box on how we can get some extra help while Chris is out, because I know Nina stays late. And I don't know if students would want to come and help out or what, because I don't know how long he'll be out, but just some food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Westbrook.
Visitor comments? Okay. You heard the
Yep.
the little spiel. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Deb Huber, Athens Borough. Y'all know where I live. I haven't moved 50 years this year. I've been involved with a huge group through Children's Health Defense, and we came up with an entire handout that I would offer to you all. I gave one to the Chris there when we got them solidified. What they are they are informed consents for all the childhood vaccines. They're color-coded. They have the adjuvants in there. They have the growth mediums in there. The second page has all the research. It has all the websites. I want everyone to please remember we're here to save our children. I'm hoping in God's name that Robert Kennedy Jr. can help us out. And he does Children's Health Defense. So if you'd like a copy, I have them. I was going to hand them out earlier, but I'm sure if you have any questions or concerns, you know how to get in touch with me, and I appreciate it. And this is for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, thank you, Mrs. Huber. Next on the agenda is board communications or informational items. If you look, you'll have I didn't see personnel transfers in here. There are none, okay. The high school updated course description, field trip request, Sunday use request, the nutrition group report, enrollment by building for January 2025, and enrollment by month for January 2025.
Can I be like the most annoying person ever? And one of those documents has a very, very minor typo.
Which one?
The one enrollment by month.
Oh, okay.
It's got SRU and Lynch swapped for January.
Oh, I'll correct it.
I
and have
just was surprised to see almost 600 children at SRU, and I thought,
You never
wow,
know.
they're busy.
It's growing out
So,
there,
yeah.
leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
I'll get it corrected and
It's a
send it out to
tiny,
you.
tiny thing.
I'll fix it. I'll get it to you.
I'm sure you will. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? All right, 18 is board discussion items. There's none at this time. Unless someone has something. Move on to 19, which is the plan, the future meetings. Our next meeting will be a regular session meeting. Will be held Tuesday, February 11th, and that will be held at the District Administration Building. Committees will meet at 6:15, and the meeting will begin at 7. We do need an executive session after this meeting for personnel and legal with no action taken. I need a second or first, a motion and a second to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Thank you.